Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Redneckologist Show. This is Spur, and it's been a minute and a half since I have brought you any new content, and I apologize for that, but life gets in the way. We have recently relocated, so I am no longer in Texas. I am now in North Carolina, but I had to go where the money was, and that's where the job took me, so we have transplanted our family, and we are now in North Carolina. So a few things about North Carolina that's a little bit different than Texas. The trees here are a heck of a lot bigger. The hills are a lot bigger, and most of Texas, where around at least where I was from, was mostly flat. We lived on a hill out there, and we went from 10 acres, and now we're actually in town. So there's some conveniences to be had from that. We have fast internet now. I don't have to traipse off to a Starbucks or something, that's 45 minutes to an hour away to try to get my videos uploaded. But so we have that convenience. I can record all this in my home, and I know I can hear it already. There's a little bit of an echo, but I don't have the acoustics that I had when I was recording at the last place. So I hope it's not too terrible, and I may try to find a better way to do this here in the near future. But the bottom line is I'm bringing you content again, so hopefully I'll be able to do this on a weekly, bi-weekly, some odd basis. That's a heck of a lot more. It's a heck of a lot more frequent than I had been. But all my stuff was on a truck. So we sold our home. We had movers come out. We put it on a back of a big old ABF truck, and then it was in storage for a while. So all of my mixers, my mics, stands, all of that, it was all in that truck in a big old box. So finally we're here. We got it unloaded, and it's been a little bit. I've been here a couple of months at the new location, but of course you don't get all the boxes unpacked right away, and you don't find everything right away. And I'd found this a couple of weeks ago, but of course, and then we're unpacking. So let's get back to North Carolina. I'm embracing the state. Beautiful here. We live not too far from the Blue Ridge Mountains. We have ski resorts close by. We have zip lines. We have lots of nature walks, parks, things like that. Fishing, of course. There's lakes and streams everywhere. And when there's lakes and streams, there's fish, right? Less than a half a day's drive from the coast. Go over there and do some saltwater fishing if I want to. Take the kids over to see Kitty Hawk and all that type of stuff. So yeah, we're embracing the area, having a good time. There's some good restaurants around here that we found some good wings. The barbecue's different. I'm not going to say it's better or worse. It's different. But I can tell you this: all the barbecue places in Texas taste exactly the same. Some of them may be a little more moist than others, and some of them, may not do their brisket just right, or maybe too fatty of meat or whatever. But I really started getting tired of Texas barbecue, and don't string me up for saying that, but it just wasn't an everyday thing. Now I haven't had barbecue here. I'm kind of afraid to try it, but I've had Carolina's barbecue before. I've had southern different types of southern barbecue. I've had KC barbecue, Memphis rub, all of that. It's all good. It's preference of one over the other or whatnot. The one thing I'm kind of gloomy about here is we moved out of football country. Texas is a football state, and loud and proud about it. Now here, of course, there's NC State, and there's the North Carolina teams up in here, but football is not nearly as big as basketball here. And I'm not a basketball fan. I kind of about as much of a basketball fan as I am a soccer fan, and I think I'd rather watch hockey. But I lived overseas for a while, and I watched all kind of sports, and I got into soccer a little bit. But it's not my favorite thing. I just don't get into it, and when I'm watching it, it just doesn't tingle my spine. So thing with basketball though is you've got down to the last 2 minutes. I like the last 2 minutes of a basketball game, but there again, the refs have too much power and control over that game. and there's no instant replays. It's whatever they say goes. They're very subjective with their calls. I just can't stand watching basketball like that. If they can tighten that game up a little bit and make it fair for both teams, and where you can take the refs out of it. And I know in football, refs can have an influence on the game as well, but they have taken a lot of power away from those refs out of that game with instant replays and all that, and everybody can see it and judge you for what you're doing. But now I've seen it, but it's few and far between where football really gets skewed by the refs, and I've seen basketball just completely opposite. The refs might as well just went out there and said, this team over here is going to win, so y'all might as well go home, because it just disgusts me when I see that stuff. But anyway, that's why I don't like basketball. What else about this state? There's really a few main towns, cities, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Raleigh. That's really, your big ones. And then Winston-Salem's, they call it the Piedmont Triad, and there's, different cities all kind of running together there. There's not a lot of separation. But the one thing that's gotten me about North Carolina is you can be in the middle of town driving, and there's trees everywhere, big old trees. And I'm talking about, it looks like you're driving out in the middle of the country, and all of a sudden there's a Target store and a Walgreens, and of course right across the street from Walgreens there's a CVS over there. Go figure. But yeah, I mean, you can get lost around here pretty easy because you have no perspective. You can't look up the road and see things other than trees. And the hills, it's a challenge, but there's some history here. A lot of good stuff. But anyway, that's enough about that. Remember, y'all, rednecks are everywhere. There's one now, definitely, in North Carolina, and I'm sure there's some others here. I just have to find them. Again, I'm back. I'm going to bring you more content. As always, please subscribe.